Getting ready to go live here. Let's hope this works, you guys. Okay, so I think I'm live. All right. Hi, everybody. I want to tell you a little story today around food and how we use food. And this actually happened to me. So I'm going to just, oh, sorry. You guys, Zoom is making me crazy a little bit today. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So when I was in my early 30s, my mom got very, very sick. And actually, she ended up spending the last 4 months of her life in hospital. And so I want to tell you the story of what happened around food there and the lessons that I learned and that we can learn around what it means to eat well and eat emotionally. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ricki Heller from rickiheller.com, and I help women on restricted diets learn to love their food again so they can eat happily, allow their bodies to heal and their symptoms to clear, and they can live the life they were meant to live. And so for me, this happened when I was still teaching at the college, and it was just by coincidence. My mom got sick in May. At the end of May, the semester ended, and I took off and went from where I lived to my family's home in Montreal. And I ended up spending 4 months. My mom died on August 19th. It was like she was trying to help me be ready to go back to school or something. And I really do actually treasure those 4 months that I got to spend with her, because since I didn't live there anymore, I literally went to the hospital in the morning, spent the whole day there. I had nothing else to do. And I was able to chat with her and spend time with her. She was cogent right up until the end. And my mom died of complications of diabetes. So I have a very strong motivator around wanting to eat well, because that was really the reason she died. And so what happened, though, was an interesting thing. I had those 4 months off. And um, as time went on, I noticed after about the first month and a half that the clothes I had brought with me were starting to get tighter and tighter. And eventually, none of the clothes I brought with me really fit me, except for a couple of elastic waist things. And it was really embarrassing, because people were kind of looking at me and wondering, like, what is she going out partying every night, eating her face off while her mother's lying in this hospital bed dying? But those of you who can identify will know that I was just overwhelmed with anxiety and dread and fear and grief and all the things. And for me, what I did was I ate. I ate my feelings. And so I think it's very easy to recognize that as emotional eating, because it's so obvious what I was doing. But I think for most of us, when we think about emotional eating, it's something like that. We don't think of the small little things around emotional eating. So, for instance, what about if you've misplaced your car keys and you have to search for 15 minutes when you're already late for an appointment, and then you grab something to eat? Or what about if you have an argument with your husband and you're feeling upset and you grab something to eat? Or what about if you saw a movie that really disturbed you because it was, a topic that was very controversial, or that got you all riled up, or that scared you, or whatever, made you sad, and then you find something to eat? These are all the little things that happen during the day that could happen every day, that we don't even think about as emotional eating, but it is. And I want to talk about why emotional eating can be such a dangerous thing, particularly for those of us who have restricted diets that we need to stay on for health reasons, so that if we go off these diets, it's actually going to have an impact on our health. So, the first thing I want to say is, how do you know if it's emotional eating in your case? And one of the best definitions that I ever heard of was a coach who said, if you ever eat when you're not physically hungry, when your body is not hungry, that is emotional eating. Well, by that definition, I'm going to guess every single one of us has at some point or another experienced emotional eating, right? But so why is this a problem? Well, just related to that definition. There are three things I think are really important. The first one is just related to that definition. If we are eating when we're not physically hungry, well, I think for most of us, particularly those of us in North America and in the Western world in general, we no longer know when we're physically hungry because our bodies have been trained to just want food all the time. So if I have a snack in the middle of the day, am I really physically hungry? Basically, at any time, am I really physically hungry? I have so much food around me all the time, and I can grab a little bit here and there any time of the day. And we're all kind of used to that. And so for most of us, we never actually get to the point where we are truly physically hungry. So that's something to think about because if you're not, then it is emotional eating. There is an emotional component. So one of the problems is it removes us from that knowledge of when we're physically hungry. I think the second thing that's really important is for most of us, we don't know the alternatives to eating. So if I'm using food to deal with my emotions, if I have an argument with my sister on the phone, if I'm worried about my old dog who seems to be ill or whatever it is, and I start shoving the food in my mouth because I can't deal with those emotions, what that means is I'm not learning a more helpful and a healthier way to deal with those emotions. And over time, you lose touch with those tools and that ability. But the good news is it can be learned. You can learn how to deal with emotions in a way that is actually positive and not food related. And then I think the third problem is that for those of us with restricted diets, where, like in my case, I'm following an anti-candida diet for health reasons, it's so important that I don't go off on a bender eating emotionally because that will impact my physical health immediately. I'm going to see symptoms probably the next day or maybe even later that day if I eat something that I shouldn't be eating. And the same is true for so many people on so many different types of restricted diets. So when we think about emotional eating, I think it's really important that we consider how we need to get a hold of that and how it can really improve our lives and improve just our health, both physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, if we learn how to deal with those emotions without the food. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to be delving really more into this in the upcoming free 4-day workshop called Stick With It this summer, where we're going to look at all the different ways that you can learn to stick with your healthy eating, and mastering your emotions, of course, is one of the things that we can talk about there. I'm going to talk about all the strategies and tactics that you can use and you can implement before the summer months so that you can breeze through this season without worrying about all the ice cream and the drinks and the cakes and the cookies and the s'mores and all the different things that are around during the summer that might call to you, the BBQs with the potato chips and the potato salad and the pasta salad, etc., etc. So it is possible to eat well, love your food, and get through the summer feeling happy and confident in your ability to stick with your healthy diet. I hope you will join us for Stick With It this summer. It starts on May 17th, and you can register by going to rickiheller.com/workshop list. So that's the word workshop, the word list, all is one word. And I hope to see you there. All right, everybody, I'm going to check the comments. Unfortunately, Zoom doesn't let me see Facebook while I'm talking. They've changed their format. So I will go back to the Facebook page. If you're seeing this video and it's not live, feel free to leave a comment, question, anything at the end for me. I always come back and check them and I will respond to you there. And I will see you guys again soon. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great rest of your week.